It's already 8:30, but this morning's class has not yet begun. We were supposed to have physics, but the teacher is nowhere to be seen. Had I known this beforehand, I would have slept in, too. Suddenly the classroom door slams open, and Muto grants his morning greeting to us from the doorway. Good morning, everyone. Muto looks like he has not slept at all. The stubble is messier than normal hair, and the stained dress shirt that create a less than favorable impression. Guess he had fun last night at the festival, too. The second dating sim just straight for Muto. We just never see it. Excuse my being late, I ran into unexpected problems. I'm not usually one for festivals like this, but I hope you all had a good time. After all, these sorts of events are important for you all, since they give you a short reprieve from schoolwork. The class replies with various degrees of enthusiasm, and Muto proceeds to take roll and get started. Right, then. Today's subject is photon particle physics. That's right, he's a science teacher. That's so weird, because I know I've said it before, but we don't see the other teachers. The only other teacher we've seen now is Nomiya. He's the art teacher. Have we? I don't think we saw the Kenji's release teacher. Before long, I have descended into a comfortable coma-like state along with the rest of the class, letting Muto's rambling speeches pass through one ear and exit the other without leaving a trace. Now, who can tell us the solution to this problem? He's written a rather easy equation on the blackboard. Desperately, he tries to get to the class to participate. Also, I should mention, at this point now, we are not using a guide anymore, just because I want whatever ending we get to be natural. I only needed a guide to get to Rin's part, just because I wanted to go with Rin. Yeah, just to clarify that. Just make sure everything's clear. Nobody? Come on, guys. Nakai? How about you? Unfairly singled out and cornered, I give him an answer. It causes his shaggy features to twist in a genial smile that would scare little children senseless. Precisely. Good work, Nakai. I'm both disturbed and honored by the fact that he can remember my name only 1 week after I transferred here. From what I've seen, Muto has serious trouble remembering the names of anybody else in the class. Most of them have been here since the first year. The room settles into a dreary mood. Students and teachers alike are trying to get back on track after the festival. I figured last week must have been frantic for everyone. Not a minute too soon, the lunch bells ring. This could be Emmy or this could be Misha. Sorry, I couldn't remember her name. I'm just going to pretend it's Emmy for them. Make way! Important business! I turn my head just in time to see the other people scatter out of the way as someone charges from the far end of the corridor towards the stairwell. It's too late to realize that I'm standing in the middle of the corridor, directly in the way of the oncoming human projectile. I try to skip back towards the doorway. Unfortunately, the person running towards me dodges in the same direction. In the following fraction of a second, several things come to mind in sequence, yet almost simultaneously. First, I recognize that girl who is on a collision course with me is Emmy. Second, I realize that it feels somehow very natural to be tackled by Emmy once again. I feel almost comfortable, if not for the reflex of panic and terror. Third, Emmy seems to be carrying a foot-tall stack of papers while running in the hallway. She crashes into me, but at least the impact was a grazing one on my arm this time. Howie, why does this always happen to me? Because you're running in the hallways. Gee, I wonder, could it have something to do with you running through the corridor like you were on fire? She whimpers regretfully, looking like a hurt puppy. The sight makes me regret my snappish comment. In a very instant, it emerges from my lips. But I was in a hurry. I can tell. Sorry. Don't worry about it. Emmy wails weakly one last time and rubs her forehead as if to expel the ache while her gaze sweeps onto the hallway floor. As she notices her neat stack of papers spread all over the floor in one big mess, she lets out a horrified yelp. The printouts! Oh no, what am I going to do? Teacher will give me hell if they get dirty. I'll probably be fine. Let's just gather them back up. It won't be a problem. We quickly round up the papers, and Emily tries to... I call her Emily. Emmy tries to sort out the scattered pile in her hands back into the orderly stack it was. Where are you going? Nowhere in particular, I guess. Didn't want to be left alone with Muto in the classroom. I think he has a hangover. Have you eaten lunch? Not yet, but I'm not feeling very hungry anyway. She looks at me incredulously as if doubting my sanity for letting such a thing out of my mouth. You should go to the roof. I promised Rin that I would lunch with her, but I think she'd like company. I bet she'd like company. Uh-oh, my lunches with Rin have been remarkably unsuccessful. I know where this conversation's going. It's hard not to get drawn along, so I have little choice but to play ball. Okay, I'll go pick up some bread or something first. Emmy smiles brightly before I say anything further. No, I'll go deliver the papers, these super quick. Why did I say papers? I'll go deliver these super quick and then go buy lunch for us and Rin too, of course. What kind of bread do you like? It's fine, really, you don't need to. Don't worry, it's alright. Consider it an apology. I'll be back before you know it. That's what I'm worried about. Don't get into another accident. Emmy starts walking down the hallway, but since she's still talking to me, she isn't watching where she's going. I won't. Famous last words. She's already jogging down the stairs as she shouts the not-so-reassuring promise back to me. Sighing quietly, I start plodding along in her wake, but instead of taking the stairs down, I climb upwards. The stairwell to the roof is unlit, just as creepy as it was before. The door squeaks weakly in protest as I push open. I like the roof here. It looks good. Rin is there too, like Emmy said, lying on her back on the other end of the pebble-covered rooftop for some reason. Predicting something unnecessarily strange again, I walk to her as slowly as possible. Hello. She sounds very drowsy as she says that, stretching the end of the word with a slurred voice. Despite that, her eyes are wide open. God, this shadow looks so sus. I look down at her, my shadow overlapping her face. What are you doing? Rin raises an eyebrow. I thought you had a heart problem, not an eye problem. She answers, challenging the rationale of my perfectly valid question without even tilting her head to look at me. Rin's smartass comment are infuriating. The worst thing is that I'm not sure if she's doing it on purpose or not. It's called a joke, is how it's called being friends. Alright then, let me rephrase. Why are you lying on your back on the rooftop? She gives me a lazy shrug and then sniffs dismissively. I'm trying to experience. People probably don't do this enough. What exactly are you trying to experience here? I can't really tell. There's probably a good reason people don't do whatever. She's playing dodgeball with me again, answering my attempt at small talk with riddles I don't want to puzzle out. But I don't want to ignore her either. Yeah, but the reason that everyone's too busy with their lives to pay attention to the really important things. Like watching the sky? She tears her gaze away from the sky and finally looks straight at me. The penetrating deepness of her eyes, once as she focuses them on something, is startling. You know, if you were a girl, I would be able to see your panties. If I were a girl, I wouldn't come this close to anyone who tried to sneak at my panties. There's that much common sense. I wouldn't either, but sometimes it can't be avoided. Like now, for example. Tell you the truth, I love it when her eyes get that little shine in them. She like comes to life a little. Tell you the truth, I don't really want to peek at your panties though. Tell you the truth, yeah, I don't really want to peek at your panties though. Underpants are the soul of a girl. You shouldn't peek at someone else's soul, even if you're not a girl. As a guy, I guess I can understand that. To us, they're some sort of half-mythical object we can't really comprehend. Yeah, that's exactly how I think about them too. What a coincidence. It really is. So, did you have world history in the morning class? I skipped class to do this. Well, I'm not exactly doing what it looks like I'm doing, or at least I think that I'm... What? Well, I'm not actually doing what it looks like I'm doing, or at least I think that what I am doing doesn't look like what I look like. But from your perspective, probably. Yeah, I skipped class to do this. I guess whatever your reason is as good as any. Giving in to the tired feeling in my legs, I sit down on the roof next to Rin. Pebbles are not the most comfortable bed in the world, but if she can stand it, then I should be able to as well. What are you waiting for? Try it. I bend my neck backwards to look at where she's looking. The silvery blue sky, dotted by herds of cloud sheep, fills the field of vision entirely. While it's pretty, the view is nothing special, even though the weather is fair. I give a shrug, trying my best to imitate the nonchalant manner which Rin seems to have evolved to perfection, and lie down on my back. The strokes poke at my back through my thin shirt. I shift my weight even a little, forcing me to keep as still as possible. I try to ignore the discomfort and myself, instead concentrating on the vastness over us. Far above, the summer clouds drift soundlessly across the dome of the sky. Neither of us has anything more to say. The silence covers the rooftop. Subdued noises of the students on their lunch break, cicadas in the trees, and the traffic buzzing past the school are humming pleasantly somewhere in the background. Listen, I had a great time yesterday. Did you? Well, to be honest, no, but it was alright. It was probably the longest time I've sat in one place without doing anything, which is kind of impressive. Try to make it sound as convincing as possible. Is that impressive? I think it is. I'm usually too restless to do anything like that. I think I had a good time too. A cloud passes above us, casting its shadow on the school. A chill surges through me from the sudden change of sunlight to shade. I realize that summer is not in its full bloom quite yet. The only measure of time passing is the slow pace of clouds moving towards the town. Stray beams of golden sunlight leaks through the gaps, blinding me for a moment whenever they hit me directly in the eyes. The blue of the sky looks so unreachable. This reminds me of the time I spent in the hospital, where I was bored out of my mind on a daily basis. Somehow it didn't matter after a while. I learned to appreciate other things besides watching TV and gossiping with the people I didn't even like. A comprehensive sensation of calmness spreads from my sight to my other senses, finally hitting my brain. An airplane zooms by, leaving two thin contrails in its wake, like a pair of chalk lines drawn from one end of the sky to the other. I wonder where it's heading. The low din of its engines carries all the way down to my ears, although it's barely audible over the racket and from the quad. It's nice. It's nice, but I don't really understand why it's more important than going to class. Isn't it good to do something you like? Every once in a while? Of course, but what are you doing? Emmy has snuck up on us without either noticing and is the only step away from me. Only a step, oh god. Holding several packages wrapped in plastic film in her arms. She leans forward, peeks over me, overshadowing my face, almost exactly the same way I overshadowed Rin before. I wonder how weird this looks, the two of us lying on our backs on the rooftop. That's what I asked, too. I'd be more concerned about what you are doing. If I were you, I wouldn't come that close to people who can see your panties. Rin! Emmy's voice is scandalized, but she quickly takes a step backward, pressing her hands against the front of her skirt so abruptly that the parcels of bread she was carrying fall. I quickly avert my eyes and glance angrily at Rin. She pretends not to see me. So isn't like that, right? Right. Emmy scowls at Rin and crouches down to pick up the packages. She wipes the dust off of them and then skips lithely around me to Rin's other side where she sets herself down. Anyway, here's your bread. Sorry it took a while. It's alright. Thanks for treating me. I pull myself up in a sitting position, gratefully accept the bread that Emmy is offering. All three of us ravenously dig into a simple meal. The bread is surprisingly decent and readily fills my stomach. I follow from the other corner of my eye the skill at which Rin handles her bread between her feet. I was about to say, I wonder how it's like eating bread with your feet. I haven't seen you on the track in a few days. Oh, right. I figured it was too heavy a routine for me to start with. So you've been doing something else? I've been considering my options. She frowns, but doesn't pursue the issue further, for which I'm thankful. Emmy seems pretty headstrong, and I wouldn't really want to get pestered about this on a daily basis. I have enough burdens to bear with Shizune and Misha already. We barely finish the lunch before the bells ring, calling us back to our classrooms. Ki-chan? Misha waves at me as soon as I enter, and starts talking before I even make my way across the classroom. How was your festival? Did you have fun? Still somewhat undecided on that. I'd say probably. Why? Just asking. Her eyes glint in a way that tells me she's not just asking. I can't even start to guess her motives, though. As the well-timed entrance of the English teacher prevents us from talking further, Misha falls back to plan B. I was there all day with Chi-chan. We had lots of fun. Weren't you supposed to be doing work? Don't worry, everything went well. I don't reply to that, and she leaves me alone after Shizune demands her attention. My own attention, on the other hand, is directed out the windows. Now that I look at it from here, through the window and the foliage just outside, the sky seems smaller. I catch only small glimpses of blue, Everything else is clutter of noise right in the middle of my field of vision. He's starting to look like an artist. He was being like, oh, I don't know art and stuff, but he's looking at the sky and stuff and like noticing things a little differently. Looking at the world a little different. What experience did Rin want out of staring at the sky? Surely she's done it before. Everyone has. It's no use trying to guess her mind, but if I don't do that, then I have no excuse for not concentrating on the teacher's words. I'm going to take this time and maybe say something that I don't know what the writers decide to make of things like this, and maybe this is the point, but I want to say that her looking, I think I did this a couple times in Hanako's playthrough, whatever. I think her looking at the sky and him looking at the sky and not knowing what to make out of it, or trying not to know, or not knowing what she makes out of it, is literally the same as looking at the mural. You know, you're looking at a mural and what she's thinking is completely different than what you're thinking because you're interpreting art differently. And I think that that's what this is talking about. You could have a different interpretation. I think that's the point. It's no use trying to guess her mind, but if I don't do that, then I have no excuse for not concentrating on the teacher's words. Look at the scribbles appearing on the blackboard, trying to figure out their meaning with little success. English really is not my favorite subject. We have a strong mutual dislike for each other. I like English. It's probably my favorite subject in school. It was easy. Thick, hot afternoon light invades the corridor, making the air feel heavy and lazy. My body feels weighed down by it as I drag 2 doors down the hallway to the art classroom. Maybe this is part of the reason why I didn't join any clubs before. Afternoons just aren't suited for activity. True, I do everything in the mornings. Everything I do is in the morning. I spend all day, late day, doing absolutely nothing. Gaming, sleeping, whatever. You know, you could say that this is gaming, this is work. We're being entertaining. Ooh. There's the blind boy. There's a Picasso kid with no ear. I knock on the door of the art room and open it. A girl who's possibly doing something important with the scroll of paper she's carrying turns to reckon me and smiles in a sweet, if a bit confused manner. Whoa. Hello? This is the art club, right? Yep, you interested in joining? Yeah, in fact, I might already have done so, but we'll see. Give her a weak smile, and she widens a notch, making me feel less nervous. Great, have a seat then. I'll start when the teacher gets here. Without even scouting the room, looking for a good spot, I walk quickly to the back of the room and settle myself on a free seat, apart from everyone else. A few other members are lounging in their seats, waiting for the teacher. Rin sits alone in a window seat, looking outside. She's the only person here that I know. Although a guy I've never actually really gotten along with from my own class is here too. See the guy with no ear? I think he was there. Nobody else comes to greet me. Maybe introductions are left for later? So I just settle down in silent observation as well. Well, it's like an art classroom. The thing, as far as I know about, you know, not only being in an art classroom before, but also being in like an arts classroom in college, like a film, is that in studio classes like this, people who aren't in your class and you've never seen before are going in and out all the time because it's the only room with all the materials you need to finish whatever project you're doing. Not even for school, like your personal projects. So like they don't care, especially because they're art kids. Like art kids are chill, you know. Nobody's gonna be like, oh my god, who are you, bro? That's sick. Everyone's like, oh, they're probably here doing some whatever, you know. One boy has sunglasses on, an odd sight indoors. Were we not in Yamaku, I bet he's the blind student Rin was talking about. The wait proves to be extremely short. Nomiya walks to the stand behind his desk in 3 long strides, then gives a smile and a flamboyant greeting. Good afternoon, everyone. First things first, Hashao is a new member, so everyone get along with him. He winks at me unsettlingly. All 8 members of the club, including myself, answer his greeting with considerably less enthusiasm. Still, people finally straighten up in their seats and begin to pay attention. I think some of you still have projects to work on, so please continue with those if you'd like. As for the rest, I was thinking that today we could do some rough studies. How does that sound? Nobody answers with Nobody answers, except with some unintelligible murmurs, which Nomiya apparently interprets as an unanimous approval. Alright then, everyone not working on other projects, choose a partner and draw a sketch of one another. You should be able to complete this today, but if not, we can continue it next time. Or even if you do it again... What? Even do it again if you find it interesting. Remember to pay attention to lighting and shadow. Give it your best. Pairing up, I feel pretty awkward about it. Hardly knowing anyone here. I wish someone would ask me to be their partner. Rin. Hello. Dumbass. People stand up and move their chairs closer together. Nobody comes to me. Pretty soon everyone is paired off. Friends team up with each other, but I'm left alone. Well, there is Rin. Obviously. She's sitting in the furthest corner of the classroom, still staring out the window, seeming pretty uninterested in taking part in this exercise. Since she's the only other one without a partner, I walk to her seat. You could have just done that in the first place. It's okay to take the first step, Isao. I can't see her face because her hair is covering most of it. She's looking away from me. Rin? I call out to her. No response. Hey, you want to partner up? You're the only one I know here. She seems to finally acknowledge my presence, head turning like a robot as she looks to see who's addressing her. Rin doesn't answer. And I don't want to repeat the question either. I'm sure she's heard it the first time. Why doesn't she say anything? It can't be such an awful fate to be paired up with me, can it? She doesn't look at my face, but instead stares directly at my chest and stomach. Oh, okay. Why not? Okay, good, great. I'll get this stuff for us. Looking at the equipment Nomiya has prepared for today's meeting confuses me. Instead of graphite or pencils, we're apparently supposed to do ink sketches. I've never done anything like that before. The teacher, however, seems confident in my abilities to adapt to this medium. Simple! First, you do the outlines in ink, you let them dry, then you shade with the diluted ink. This is called India ink. It works like watercolors. If you're uncomfortable with it, use a pen or a brush just for the outlines. Got it. Pick up paper, water cups, one pen for me, one brush for Rin, and the ink for both of us, and return to Rin. Grabbing a vacated chair from nearby, I seat myself directly opposite her. Do you want me to do it with my foot or my mouth? What did you say? She tilts her head, her brows forming arches, as if she doesn't understand that I didn't understand the question. I don't mind drawing either way. You look better if I do it with my foot, though. With your foot, then, if it's all the same to you. Nodding in answer, Rin gets up from her seat and kicks off her sandals. In two fluid motions, she picks up her paper sheet and drops it on the floor, then snatches the brush between her toes before sitting on the floor in a weird half cross-legged position. Although I've seen her do everything with her feet already, from eating to painting, the display of dexterity is so prodigious. Prodigious. Prodigy, but prodigious. I just stare at her, stunned. Rin contemplates her blank paper intently. The sharp tip of her brush hovers over the paper in anticipation. When she raises her head to see if I'm ready, I quickly turn my face away. I'll go first. Make a pose. What kind of pose? It doesn't matter. That's the point. You have to make the sketch of the impression you get. Decide beforehand. I end up sitting in my chair, my hands hanging limply between my knees. I look at her. She looks at me for a moment before beginning. Rin's stare is piercing, but impassive, as if she were trying to absorb a part of me into her own self. I feel like I'm physically shrinking under the pressure of her gaze. I get that feeling for the first time since we met. Rin is actually looking at me instead of in my general direction. She sketches with confident, bold sweeps of the delicate brush, not caring about the potentially destructive consequences of an accidentally misplaced stroke. After she's happy with the outline, she stands up to pose for me, stretching out her back legs. This time she doesn't look at me. Instead, Rin lets her gaze wander around the room. I'm relieved. It's easier to stare at someone when they aren't staring back at you. Even so, I find it hard to get the sketch going. I'm not especially artistically talented, so I'm scared my portrait will turn into something disfigured, especially when something compared to my partner's skill. Yeah, but the thing is, like, art could be literally shapes. Like, you don't have to draw her perfectly. I don't want to embarrass myself too badly on my first try. Rin is not helping the process either. She doesn't stand still even for 10 seconds, tilting her head from side to side to judge her drawing, biting her lower lip, looking unsatisfied, and constantly shuffling around like she was on hot coals. Finally managed to make some headway on my sketch. With the outlines done, we both start inking the shadow and light. Nomiya passes by and remarks on the beginnings of our sketches. Very good. Standing figure is easier for a beginner to get a grasp of. But I didn't choose the pose. I look at him and then Rin in confusion, but he's already moving on to the next pair. Rin seems unresponsive. Just like when she was painting the mural, Rin has become so engrossed with her work that it seems she has shut me, the classroom, and the entire world itself outside from her own little sphere of existence. Every now and then, she leans backwards, seemingly to get some perspective. She bends forward, leaning down until her nose almost touches the paper. This rocking back and forth looks silly. Suddenly, Rin proves she hasn't completely drifted off into a world of her own and speaks. Are you having fun already? I like how she says having fun already instead of like, yet. Like, are you having fun yet? Like, that's weird. She doesn't raise her eyes from the drawing, which is a good thing. Breaking of silence sends a jolt of surprise through me, as if I'd been electrocuted. I don't know yet. It's hard to say. I can't hear how she replies to my answer because she's suddenly having a private, whispered conversation with her sketch. I don't understand how she can draw so well when she has the attention span of a butterfly. As if it seems she lost her interest, I go back to my own drawing as well. I try to add texture to Rin's hair and somehow grasp the way the golden afternoon sun lights her bright red tussle of flame and transfers it on my paper into shades of black and gray. Somehow, this pen and the bottle of ink seem such lousy, inadequate tools for the task. Minutes pass, but the sketch doesn't magically look any more like Rin than it did before. Her voice wakes me up from my despair. What about now? Excuse me? Are you having fun already? Why do you keep asking that? Because it's a club, right? Clubs are meant to be fun. You joined to have fun. Are you having fun? It's important that I'm having fun? Why are you questioning that? Of course it is. Yes. Okay, I'm having fun. Good. I wonder if I just said that to please her, or if I really meant it. Can't really decide which it was. I don't hate this, though. I can honestly say that much. It's good enough for now. Okay, that's good. You like that. As the allotted time to finish the studies quickly ticks away, I desperately try to improve my awful sketch, but it doesn't seem to get any better. I want to start again from scratch, but what would be the point? There's no time for that either. Okay, everyone, that's it for today. Please turn in the drawings on my desk, and I'll see you all next Monday. That's fine. It's art, bro. It doesn't matter. Glance at my portrait. It doesn't look exactly like Rin, but I guess you could say it portrays her. That might be a bit generous. It does, don't worry. The nose and jaw look hideous, and the shading is terrible. Granted, it's my first attempt at drawing with ink, but it's still pretty bad. That's not bad. Oh, she sneaked up behind me while I was lost in thought. Damn it, I was hoping I could smuggle the portrait to the teacher without you seeing it. Why? She looks so shocked. I'm not really happy with it. I wish I could draw better. You just need some more practice. Could you take my drawing to the teacher too? Curious of myself to see how the sketch turned out, I peek at the picture. From the way Rin was drawing, it looked like she was really into it. That's crazy good. Looks like a comic. It's excellent. Somehow, seemingly arbitrary strokes come together to form an image of my face. From the shape of my chin, to the messy hair, to the somewhat gloomy expression, he looks angry. Her sketch blows my mind. You're amazing. You're amazing. It's not that amazing, but thanks. Take a closer look at her work. It's still glistening with this slow drying ink. You know, I look kind of grim here. You do look kind of grim. I mean, I agree, but it's also true otherwise, too. Like, this is you, not the you I made. I do? I think so, at least. Your simple statement makes me suddenly feel incredibly self-conscious. I feel like I need a mirror right now to confirm or debunk Rin. It's a nasty feeling. Maybe it's just her. I hope it's just her. I don't look like that sketch to everyone. It's a good sketch, but I somehow get really oppressive feeling from it. Her face is so like, what's wrong? I see. Anyway, it looks really good. You're really amazing. Thanks. I'm glad I could draw you. You're an interesting person. You're an interesting person too, but that didn't help me much. My self-deprecation has no limits today, but Rin ignores all. I knew that I could never compare, but to see the difference in my own eyes is quite humbling. See, I tried to make you look like you think a lot, since you did a lot of thinking. And yeah, I might have overdone the fed up with life expression, but cynics are always like that, right? Want to retort something snappy, but Nomiya gives me no time to think, ushering us to the door. Hurry up, you two! While we've been chatting for the rest of the club has taken their leave. I quickly pick up our drawings and take them to the teacher's desk before hurrying after Rin, who has already left the classroom. She's not in the hallway, to my surprise. I wonder where she managed to run off to in just a few seconds. Would have been nice to talk more. Well, not that I had much to say, except maybe getting back at her for calling me a cynic. It's surprisingly late. I already got used to school ending at the same time every day, so I can feel extra hours in my head and my gut. My growling stomach reminds me that I'm absolutely ravenous. So hungry that I dare to try anything the cafeteria staff has deemed edible. Even when I see today's delicacy. Okay, I just heard the weird voices. That was so weird. I see today's delicacy, fried mystery lumps. This nice steely resolve doesn't fade. I stuff the dinner down without tasting it at all, which is probably for the best. Oops, right clicked. I don't have much homework to do, but what little I have won't get done by itself, so I stroll towards the dormitories. Preparing the post-homework lull, I knock on Kendry's door. That's weird that you would do that. He responds from the other side, although I can't make out what he said. I try the door, but it's locked. After several seconds, the locks click open and he opens the door. Hi, hey, can I borrow a book? The library was already closed after I got away from the club meeting. He is squinting even more than usual, and his eyebrows are twitching nervously. Club? That's dangerous, man. Indoctrination, groupthink, brainwashing, you name it. High school clubs, sow the seeds of conspiracy. You know how many secret societies have been grown from high school clubs? Watch your back. Don't get too deep in. Might not come back. Okay, Kenji, how about that book? Sure, but return them, and don't spoil any of my books. No drinks, no food stains, no bodily fluids. Capiche? Sure, thanks. Instead of letting me in, he retreats from the door, closing it again. After a few seconds, he returns with a stack of 3 thick books and hands them over to me. Opening the topmost one, a familiar emblem stamped on the copyright page greets me. Your books? These are from the school library. They're now mine. You stole these? What are you talking about, man? I've been liberating these from the oppressive feminist movement that controls the library. Please say oppressive feminist movement doesn't mean that poor librarian girl, Yuko. She can't even oppress a wet towel. Kenji turns away, mumbling something I can't make out, and closes the door behind him. Before going to my own room, I enter the bathroom. While washing my hands, my eyes catch my reflection from the mirror above the sink. He looks like Link from Zelda. I try to look for grimaces Rin saw in me. It's the usual me. Rin saw in me, but it's just the usual me inside the mirror that stares back. I tend to tell myself that this is what I've always looked like, but I realize I don't remember what I looked like half a year ago. You probably look similar, at least.